with that sound, it is time for the Nudelberg Daily Huddle.
Great morning to everybody. Welcome back to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. And I can't tell you the last time it was the three of us on the screen.
I was so excited this morning. I got my ass kicked at 6 o'clock this morning by Get Jaked. Just an amazing, it's so good to get back in that head where I'm into it. I want to push myself. I saw you post beast mode this morning, but yeah, it's great. And then excited to know that he's going to be here this morning and, all good stuff.
Yeah, what do you say, Jake?
Go for it. I know it's tough to get a word in with you two. So,
well, I was just going to say I have a confession to make. This is maybe the first time in the history of the show. I didn't even look at the show notes one time. I have no idea what we're supposed to talk about today.
I don't know
about prep all the time.
I don't know if this is a good thing to say. I don't ever really look at the notes when I come on here. It's honestly, we do it so well where it's natural and the conversation flows.
I do a little prep. I do the reading of the articles. I make sure that I'm ready to go. But I got to tell you, with all the stuff that's happening tonight with the women's event, and this morning happens to be the morning where Gabby works out a little bit later. So I got a little bit more to do with Jules. I just realized when I sat down, I was like, damn, I never even glanced at it.
All right, so I want to do an exercise this morning. Shay, show me the super yacht soiree invitation. No, okay. I thought you were going to just show me the invitation. Thank you.
Sorry.
Hello. So if you look at that invitation, would it lead you to believe that you were going onto a yacht? Jake, you were not there. Would that lead you to believe that you were going to a super yacht soiree?
Yeah. Usually I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I think if you show a picture of a yacht, you call it a super yacht party, I think I would assume that I would have to take my shoes off and go on a yacht would be my
and it said dress your yacht casual, kind of yacht chic or whatever.
Yacht chic was the uniform, which first of all, I didn't even know what that meant. I had to Google it to see what yacht chic meant. So and then it was very funny to me that when I asked everybody, I thought it was on a boat. Everybody was like, so did we. So did everybody in the building was like, I thought it was on a boat.
We were looking for the boat, man. There was, there were a lot of nice spots. So Casey got it right. So we saw Casey, we saw Chaz, we saw Jen Starkey will be there. One of the hosts tonight.
Did you guys have the ability to even tour a yacht? Was that even?
You could.
Yeah, there was an area that you could walk out and see a lot of different yachts, which I also was not about to walk out there because there was 500 people on this little walkway in between these boats. And I was like, everybody's drinking. Somebody's going in the water for sure at some point here, staying away from that.
It was actually kind of fun. I don't usually go to an event with Mark. We kind of go our separate ways and do our thing. So it was kind of cool to go with you to that. It was hilarious that Jen Starkey was very dressed up wearing sneakers.
She had her boat shoes on. She wore boat sneakers. She was ready to go on the boat.
So I can tell you this. It's a very busy time in South Florida. There's a lot of events. There's a lot of women's events. We nailed it with ours. It's going to be an unbelievable night. And if you are not in the room, shame on you, because this is a place that you will want to be. So anyway, great stuff. Excited to have Jake here this morning. Why don't we wake this thing up? I got lots of stuff to talk about.
Dance.
Get up, get up, get up, get up. We got, come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then now listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more about to thinking, time of thinking ahead. Come on.
All right. So I think Jonathan Aarons, who is he is the best audience participator. I think he always is driving great contents. It's a reason to join the show, just to follow his comments, I think. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Speaking of comments,
which is what
and
happens when
engagement,
you don't prepare.
that has nothing to do with it, actually. But I want to push everybody. We've been talking about it a few weeks ago. We've kind of not been so consistent in pushing people to do it, but put your topics in the comments. Things you want to talk about, things you want to hear us talk about, things you want addressed, questions you have. All of those things will go into the agenda for us, and we'll begin to populate the show. So we love to answer questions during the show, but if we can't get to it during a show, we'll always come back, grab it, and throw it into our agenda to be covered in future shows.
So Jonathan Aaron says we have Jake back. I want to make the most of having Jake back. He continues, and I may embarrass you, but you continue to amaze me for how you hold yourself, what you say, and what you actually know, because you're fairly quiet sometimes. And so let's just bring everybody up to date. What's up with you, Jake? What's up with you, your business?
Wow. Okay.
What's up?
Maybe I should have looked at the notes.
You should have prepared.
Wow. Look, Get Jake is going great. It allows me to have really cool relationships with my clients. That's first and foremost. I think that's the best part of a coaching relationship, is understanding what's going on in their lives, what pushes them, what motivates them. And the longer we go, the different cycles that my clients go through, like my dad, being somewhat invested sometimes and figuring out how much I should push him when he doesn't really want to be there, or where getting people's mentality, understanding where they're at and figuring the best way to push them in that
I have
stage.
A question for you.
I didn't think I would talk very long until I heard you.
Who's your most committed client? I'm putting you on the spot.
My most committed client, definitely Ed Dykes.
Yeah, I knew Eddie. I knew Eddie was going to win it. Right. Way to go, Ed.
Eddie, in the way that he allows me to push him in the days that he wants to, in the makeup days. It is absolutely amazing. Get Jake, for those of you who don't know, Sarah, that's a good question. Get Jake is my personal training business, physical training that I do on the side. Which if you are looking, I recently have a few new slots open. I am expanding business. So if you're interested in that, but on the ball side, we're doing amazing stuff in the marketing department. Most of my focus has been on our online platform development for on the ball, and, creating learning curriculums for companies. And it's just fascinating the amount of information you use or you learn when you start to do things and you start to tinker and you're willing to test and understand that you're testing, and you're not afraid to spend some money to test and learn and grow and have passionate dialogues about what you're doing and continue to evolve and look for ways to get 1% better. And I think we're really doing that, and we're really living our motto. I think as a company, we have started to drink our own Kool-Aid and say, look, we're teaching everybody else to do it. And obviously most of the companies we work with are much larger. They operate on a greater scale, but the principles remain the same. And I don't think, and I'll put it in a sports term, it doesn't matter if you're playing Pee Wee football, if you're playing NFL football, 11 people are on the field, 7 people have to be on the line. It does not matter. There's a quarterback, there's a running back, there's a receiver. It doesn't matter what level you're doing it. And if there's any Michigan people there in here, I hate you to the max right now. I'll tell you that right now.
Cheaters.
You guys are cheaters.
So I have a question. I want to take you to a place. Yep. So you mentioned the other day that you can really know the information, but it doesn't mean that you can teach it or coach it. And I want you to sort of unpack that.
Yeah, I think, I was recently read an article about it was team leaders versus actual managers, and, kind of the different traits that you look for. And I think there's different skill sets when it comes to being a leader that nobody really wants to break down. Everybody thinks if you're good at your job, then you get elevated and therefore you are a leader. Leader to me is not as much about what you know. It's really not, or coaching in general. Like, it can be any curriculum and you could still be a very good coach. And we don't focus on the development of those skills enough. We worry about, well, you know a lot, so therefore go tell people. That's not coaching. That's not the best way to get your message across in a way for the other person to digest it, understand it, and then put it into actionable steps. And that's one thing when I came out of football, and I think similar to Mark, is they're like, wow, you guys are really good coaches, and it doesn't matter as much as the curriculum, more about how you're doing it and those skills that you're developing.
I had this conversation with Doug Whitewolf, and I hope he's okay with me sharing this, but like, he was so caught up in trying to communicate exactly what he would teach to people. He's got a very unique tutoring business, right? He's been a public educator for his entire career. He's recently become an entrepreneur, and he was so focused on the thing. And I was like, dude, the thing is not what people are going to buy from you. People are going to buy the fact that you've been a successful educator for your entire career. If I schooled you up on time management for 2 hours, do you think you could go teach it to a class? He was like, of course. I was like, exactly. So I was like, so stop harping on the minute detail of what you're going to be coaching, and harp on the fact that you know how to teach, you know how to connect, and the experience of learning from you is going to be better than any other educator that you could ever be around. And I think that speaks exactly to what you're talking about, Jake. Good coaches are good coaches, regardless of whether they're in football, they're in business, they're in school. Good coaches understand how to connect and how to communicate, period.
And I think, to your point, both of you, which certainly makes me really, really proud, you know what to say, when to say it, how to say it. Jake, you said you know when to push my buttons, and you have me back on track, because from August through September, I was not in it.
And I think, companies, and I'm going to speak kind of holistically. So if there's a specific example, don't take it out. Like, I think companies do a bad job of building like a basketball room, of having different skill sets in the room. Like, you don't need all coaches. That's not going to help you. Like, and I know we've had Wanstad on here where he was like, I need a few guys who are visionaries, who are going to be forward thinking of ideas. I need other guys who are going to preach their message and coach it really damn well. And then I need some others just really hard workers, and I think we look for people who do everything, and it's almost impractical to expect someone to be good at every skill it takes to be a leader. And so it's building that leadership team in a way that it exemplifies what people are good at, and having that, because I think we do it really well. We're all very good at different things and think differently. And when you have those dialogues, that's where growth comes. Because if you have all idea people, you're never everyone's just going to keep spitting out ideas. Or if you have nobody who can preach the message, you can be the best visionary, but how the hell are you going to get it through the rest of your organization? It doesn't matter how great of an idea you have. If you can't get the buy-in or communicate it in a way that the people under you know what to do and want to do it and understand why it's important, the message isn't as important. So
I totally agree. We saw it on display yesterday in our Wednesday marketing meetings, where you're doing the work, you're driving the ship, and I'm adding my 2 cents. My 2 cents not necessarily right. It's not wrong. It's just the friction of that gets us to a place. And I thought you did an amazing job. I want to turn the conversation, because you said something at lunch with Tim the other day that was like a real mic drop. And you said, when we're young and we look like we're going to be good at something, our parents flood us with coach. We need to get him better. And, so you take somebody who's good and you make them better.
Well, I think the conversation surrounded by potential, I think, was the word that I used. And I like to study human behavior. It interests me. I think when you understand humans, you can be a better salesperson, you can be a better coach, you can be a better human, you can be a better, it doesn't matter what it is.
Connector and communicator. Those are the two things that if you study human behavior, you can be really good at building connection and communicating.
It's industry agnostic. It doesn't matter what you do in your life. Those two things are the drivers for being successful or, being able to connect and influence. And so it was funny. Somebody said to me, I was like, "Oh, how are your kids doing?" And they were like, "Oh, they need tutoring." And I was like, "Oh, all right, cool." They need help reaching their potential. But yet in that avenue, everyone looks at it as a negative. They didn't, they're not good enough. And so they need to do it. And I go, I was raised in sports. If you showed the glimpse of, your potential, they were like, oh, we got to get you coaching. We got to get you better so you can reach your full potential. And it's looked at as a positive. And it's this, I think, this kind of double-edged sword of people don't grow up, wanting to chase that potential. Or if they need help reaching their potential, it's almost looked at as a negative sometimes. And that's where I think for people who didn't play sports or don't see that side, struggle with the idea that they need help or they need outside help to help reach their potential, or, everything that the organization gives them is it. Because in school, that was like, well, they have teachers, so you don't really need help outside if you're fine, and I think it's this different thinking of changing your perspective of the way that coaching looks, the way that reaching your potential looks, and the way you go about getting the help you need. Because I think everybody does, whether you're the top 1% or you're at the bottom of the barrel.
Well, there's also an interesting conversation around this topic, because I've been approached by a lot of people recently to like mentor or coach their kids. And I'm always really hesitant to say yes to that or even entertain the idea, because number one, what are we really trying to coach them on right now? Like, they're kids. And I think about when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, I had a lot of leeway. The things that I was being marked on were my grades. Did I keep my grades up? And was I being active in the sports that I was a part of, whether it be baseball, whether it be football, whether it be basketball? Those were the things that you guys were holding me accountable to. And my chores, like Saturday morning, I was getting up and washing the car with you, or we were trimming the hedges, or whatever the hell we were doing. We were going grocery shopping. I had to be a part of that with you. But those were my obligations. I wasn't required to be like watching Andrew Huberman podcasts in my free time. You know what I mean? And I think it's a line we got to really watch as we get access to more information and we become more aware of what we can do to help our kids. We still have to allow them the freedom to be the kid.
To that point, Jake shared, I haven't watched it yet, about the tennis player that like got to the final and just said, fuck it,
had a total meltdown on his way to center court at the US Open.
I want to keep this going. We have unbelievable motivational music, and then we're going to get a visit from Coach Kirby, who's going to talk about the costs of leadership.
Pay my dues, time after time. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime. And bad mistakes, I've made a few. I've had my share of strength in my brain, but I've gone through.
So we could do the Kirby thing, or we could call an audible and go with Jake's question last week, which still has me like blowing my mind. Jake sent us a text early in the
top
morning.
5 rock and roll songs.
He said to me, rank these 5. And I think I want to save the leadership thing.
Yeah, we only have 3 minutes left in the show. So, and I want to speak because that video just sparked a memory for me. Jules is really into grabbing the remote, right? And we have a smart TV and it's a Samsung. So he does really good at just changing it to a zillion different things. He got to the live TV version of Samsung and got to the Vivo channel, which I was like, I know what Vivo is because it came out on YouTube way long ago. And it was a YouTube channel that was focused on music videos. Well, now they have a streaming station that's connected to whatever live TV that Samsung has, and they do the greatest of for like an hour. And so he turned it on, and it happened to be on the greatest of Journey. And it was actually just their live show in Houston for an hour. And I was like, yeah, we can watch this. Like,
So-
and
They go
he was
pow-
locked in. He was
So
loving
this
it. He was
song-
loving
this
the guitar.
This song was not part of the 5 that he originally said as one of the best, and it easily could. And Chris Pollock just gets it. The words to the beginning was, "I
Right.
paid my dues. I've made my mistakes." Man.
Yeah.
I
So-
consider it a challenge among all human race that
Yeah.
I never lose.
So
Right.
those 5 songs, Jake, tell us what those 5 songs.
Yeah, I think while training people, I'm big into music. Most of the time, I've gotten to the point where I just choose the playlist and the category and run, and everyone's like, "Damn, you know a lot of music." So thankful to Dad and Mark for that. But I went down a rock and roll one a couple weeks ago and hit them with a text and said, "Rank these 5 songs." If I remember correctly, it was Freebird,
Yep.
"Stairway to Heaven,"
Yep.
"All Along the Watchtower," "Hotel California," and "Green Grass and High Tides."
Yes,
And there's
correct.
probably a 6th. Layla is probably deserves to be in there as well.
In that
I-
conversation.
We Are the
I-
Champions could easily be in there. Dream On could be, could easily Aerosmith. But of those 5,
Oof, another
Mark.
one. Yeah.
Sure.
Mark, what was your number 1?
Freebird. Freebird is in my opinion, hands down the
Okay.
greatest rock
Jake,
and roll.
what was your
song of
number
all
1?
time.
I think I said All on the Watchtower, but
As did I.
it's so funny because
That guy did things with a guitar.
well, it's really funny because like there's 2 and Journey probably is the 3rd. There's like 3 different rock and rolls I consider from that era. Like I consider like Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix
Yeah.
to be one.
There's
side.
like mid to late 60s. There's
And
like
then you have-
early 70s.
and then you have the
late
kind of the
70s, early
southern-
80s
the
that are all
southern
slightly
rock,
different
and
genres.
then you have the hair band kind of 80s, and so it's kind of hard to rank them all. But I after listening to Freebird, I don't know how it gets better than that.
Right.
It's
ridiculous
like,
rock
the
and roll song. It's
riff,
absurd.
Of that piano, they included the piano in a way that nobody had ever done. And so that just piano
But
riff alone is
This conversation then sparked the idea in my head that I was like, well, it's really not fair to Jimmy because Jimmy died, right? And so you lost a lot of years, which then made me think the same thing about Marvin Gaye. Like, for me, in terms of music losses, you lost Jimi Hendrix and you lost Marvin Gaye that were both like in the prime of their music careers. How much more ridiculous music or evolutions of music or new genres and new styles would we have had if they had been offered the opportunity to continue on? Like, those are just big L's for the music.
I'll leave you with
industry.
one more question, and the crowd can participate. Rank the 3: Stevie Wonder, Elton John, and Billy Joel.
Oh, unreal. Like, how do you do that? I would say Stevie Wonder because the others don't have anything until Stevie does what he does. Man.
Elton
So,
John is absurd. Elton John is an entertainer, is a
Yeah.
multi instrument player. Like Elton John blows both of them out.
I
of
would
the
go
water.
Elton.
It's, the
Stevie,
West
and then
Coast
Billy.
chiming in. The West Coast is chiming in. Layla.
Layla's, yeah. I mean, look, like Clapton is an all-time great guitar player, and again, like somebody who, because of the longevity of his career, too, offered us so much fantastic music. So I
here's
love
my
all
last
the
one.
engagement. Jonathan Aarons agrees Elton John is number
Here's
one.
my last thought. And I learned this 25 years ago from Tony Robbins in a room with Tony Robbins and Dan Lear. And Tony said, where focus goes, energy flows. If you get up in the morning and focus on the top 10, top 5 rock and roll songs, if you don't have a kick-ass day, something is wrong with you because it moves you in a way that nothing else could do. We're going to play some music tonight. It'll be a fun night. If you're on the fence, come get in.
Walk-ups are welcome at the door. So if all of a sudden your schedule opens up, get over to the YMCA over on Sistrunk and come enjoy a fantastic night with us tonight of great people, great information, and just great time together.
Yeah, we'll, we thanks to Shay and Sarah and Jake. I mean, they did an amazing job. They have cleared room for more people. So what was originally sold out. There is extra room, so bring a friend. All the money goes to charity.
For my discussion with the coordinator there, we did expand just a tad.
Welcome. Awesome. Great stuff. Thank you, guys. Very excited to see everybody tonight. And I saw in the comments Michelle and Melissa talking about making a road trip for this event next year. Let's have a conversation about how we can make that happen for you guys.
And you know what? Here's what I was thinking on that. Just so that we can document it, we could actually make it a live learning day and then go right into the event. So
love it. Love it. Great stuff. Thank you, guys. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow for Huddler in the Hot Seat. Until then, stay on the ball and let's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down.